What's up, guys? Welcome to today's training video, and I'm joined by special guest Austin. Austin, welcome to the video.
Appreciate it, man.
So guys, we're going to basically talk you through this session. So we did chest, back, and biceps, and as I mentioned, I'm joined by Austin, and he is the king of execution. That's what I start to call him anyway. So I'm going to get him to basically talk through this whole training video in terms of what we're focusing on each exercise. And if you have any comments, make sure you put them in the comments box below after the video. But Austin, I'll basically hand it to you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think it's too much credit from Danny here of being an execution king or anything like that. But I'd say the big focus is definitely in exercise mechanics and just making sure we're creating a lot of stability, creating intent within each exercise, and not just doing things and moving weight from point A to point B. So in terms of kind of where we started things, we did some pull-ups just to activate our back musculature. You'll notice in the very beginning, we just mainly focused on scapular depression, which tends to be messed up in normal novice trainees. And then here we're working on just some chest activation, getting things warmed up, getting some blood flow, and things like that. So
one of the really good points I want you to mention quickly is what we're thinking about when pulling the weight forward. So not so much pulling hand to hand, but thinking about pulling the elbows together, yeah?
Yeah, so really driving the biceps together here, really keeping that the shoulder blades very stable, and then creating a lot of force in your chest. So the more stable your back is, the more force your chest can actually create. So basing things off like a stable surface, the more force you can create. So really driving your biceps together here instead of your hands.
Perfect. And then we moved on to exercise number 1, which was incline dumbbell press, 3 sets of 8 to 10. What are we thinking about here?
Yeah, so it's really the same thing as the cable fly, right? So in terms of driving our biceps together is a big thing here. A lot of people just kind of want to move the weight upwards. So again, point A to point B. And one thing we really worked on with Danny was just reminding him to keep driving those biceps together here during the movement.
Awesome. So as I mentioned, 3 sets of 8 to 10. We basically just kind of went off how we felt in terms of weight. Didn't just pick a weight and stick to that each set. So we did a couple of acclimation sets, pretty much just warming up to our working weight, and then stuck with that for 3 sets of anywhere between 8 and 10, 8 to 12. I think most sets were probably hitting around 8 reps. But along with that, kind of pushing the biceps together, also focusing on keeping the shoulder blades really pinned into the bench. As you can see, both of us have got our feet out to the side as well. One mistake I see a lot of people make, more so with barbell bench, is putting their feet up on the bench or just not using their legs and glutes at all. I think that's one massive thing that you can pick up.
Absolutely, and I think the main point there is just creating stability.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just being very stable and creating a good environment to create a good contraction is a good way to be. So you'll notice we moved on to the row here. This is just really good row, just good back activation in general. We're mainly focusing on lats here. We're trying to bias the lats. You'll notice I kind of shift over to put myself in a better position. Again, positioning is a lot in terms of creating good contractions, creating good work within your session. So I spend a lot of time, you'll notice, in the setup of the exercise and just making sure I'm feeling it in the right places. Feeling doesn't always translate directly to muscle activation, but all things considered, I think it's a good thing to kind of navigate your session. So if you're not really feeling it something, try and start feeling it.
Yeah, this was a really cool variation of the row, and something I hadn't. Obviously, I've done a single arm cable row before, and I tend to think that my setup is pretty spot on in terms of getting full stretch and then full range of motion and activation of the lat. But this kind of took it to another level, and you were mentioning how you're basically following the shape, I guess, of the lat in terms of that contraction right at the end. So we're kind of coming around and then pulling down at that last second as well.
Yeah, so the lat attaches on the back of your upper arm, and then so the origin is the back of the upper arm, and then it attaches, or vice versa, at the base of the spine. So however you want to think of that. So you're basically just following the path of that, trying to really hit those horizontal fibers of the lat themselves. So the lat is a fanning muscle, so you have to hit the lat from different angles to fully, kind of activate and hit that muscle.
Awesome. And then we moved on to our second chest movement. And what was the reason we went to a fly after a press?
Yeah, so a good way to think about it is just kind of rounding out the strength curve and the resistance profile of the exercises themselves. So the resistance profile of the pressing movements is mainly that lengthened half of the range, and the cable fly kind of helps finish off that shortened range, which kind of throughout the whole workout, if you can think about hitting that entire resistance profile, it's a good way to kind of structure workouts to make sure you're hitting sort of the entire contractile unit of the muscle.
Yeah. And you notice we're not using the actual handles here, and I think that the fact that we weren't using the handles definitely helped me think more so about squeezing the biceps together or pulling the elbows together as well, and not thinking about kind of pulling the hands and the handles together. So on this one we went through about 5 sets, again 8 to 12 reps, and then we finished with a drop set where we took a couple of steps out and almost kind of leaned forward a little bit and just went to failure with a little bit of an increase in the tempo of the reps. After that we moved on to our last back movements with a semi-neutral grip pull up on the rings, and we supersetted that with a high bar or high T-bar row. Anything to really kind of mention here?
Yeah, so why we're using the Olympic rings here is because the Olympic rings have been found to give less wrist and elbow discomfort during a pull-up. So you'll notice my wrists actually are rotating to sort of that, again, like the way my body wants my wrist and elbow to move. So you're just allowing your body to move how it wants to move and really playing into that. And then the T-bar row here, the big things you're really worried about is that retraction of the shoulder blades themselves. So the pinching together of the shoulder blades. This is more of an upper back rhomboid row. So
yeah, and we're letting the upper back fully round at the bottom of each rep to get that full stretch. Yeah. So something I like to think about with pull-ups in particular, regardless of whether it's with the rings or on the bars or wherever it is just relaxing my hands. I think of my hands as a hook. Often I'll either release my thumb altogether or just relax it as much as possible, and I find that takes away from my forearms and biceps to a degree, and puts that focus or the contraction more so in the lats. You'll find most people get tight through their forearms before they do in their lats when training back. Often it's because they're squeezing way too hard with their hands. And the same thing with the row, thumb over the bar, initiating the movement with the elbows. I really liked that high bar row too. That was awesome. We then finished off our session with a bicep superset. So we did cable curls facing in towards the rack, supersetted with curls facing out, facing away from the rack. I think these ones are relatively self-explanatory, but again, if there's anything you want to add to these.
Yeah, just keeping, again, stability in the core. We're not creating momentum. Again, the elbow acts as a hinge joint, so all our elbow is going to do is hinge. You'll notice there's no movement at the shoulder joint. We're just hinging at the elbow, or flexing at the elbow, because the biceps are elbow flexors, and that's what we're trying to create.
Yeah, awesome. And on this one, we just did 3 sets of anywhere between 8 and 12. I think on one of the sets, maybe I got up to 15. I know on the first set, Austin put on some baby weights and did about 25 reps by accident.
Yeah, I added there was some added junk volume in there.
But guys, I'm going to put a link in the description here to Austin and his friend Alex's channel. Definitely go and check out their videos. Austin is an extremely knowledgeable guy when it comes to training and nutrition. Check out his Instagram. I'll also link that below if you're not following him already. But hope you've enjoyed this voiceover to the session, and kind of going into a bit more detail about each exercise and why we do what we do in terms of each movement, and getting a good understanding of executing the exercise properly to get the maximum results and not just moving the weight from A to B. So Austin, really appreciate you for jumping in and giving us some comments in today's video, bro.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thank you.
Alright guys, enjoy the rest of the video. If you've got any questions, as I mentioned, put them in the comments box below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's vlog.